Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Slifer the Sky Dragon Numeron deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck summons out one of the most powerful and nostalgic monsters ever created, Slifer the Sky Dragon. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like in your name description every single video, getting his signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Slifer the Sky Dragon. This card is absolutely insane and has the ability that it requires 3 tributes to normal summon this card, and it cannot be normal set. This card's normal summon cannot be negated, and when normal summon, cards and effects cannot be activated. And once per turn, during the end phase, if this card was special summoned, send it to the graveyard. And it gains 1,000 attack and defense points for each card in your hand. And if a monster is normal or special summoned to your opponent's side of the field in attack position, that monster loses 2,000 attack points. And if its attack is reduced to 0, destroy that monster, which is absolutely insane. This card is a crazy powerful card and just absolutely insane to base a deck around it. I'm then playing 3 copies of Numeron Wall. Numeron Wall is a great 3-of that helps us get to our copy of Numeron Network extremely quickly, because if you control no cards except Numeron Wall, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard to activate a Numeron Network directly from your hand or deck, which is a super good effect just to instantly get to Numeron Network. I then play 3 copies of Planet Pathfinder. Planet Pathfinder is a really good 3 in the deck as well, because you can tribute this card to be able to add a field spell card from your deck to your hand, which is always going to be Numeron Network that we're getting with this card. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Monster Reborn. This card is a great combo piece in the deck that works with our copy of the Revived Sky God, which is why we're playing it as a 1-of in this build. I'm then playing a single copy of Foolish Burial so we can get our copy of Slifer the Sky Dragon in the graveyard to work with our copy of the Revived Sky God. I'm then playing a single copy of Terraforming to search out our copy of Numeron Network so we can go in for an OTK. I'm then playing a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is a great 1-of in the deck just to be able to stop the opponent from hand trapping us while we're going in for all of our plays. I'm then playing 3 copies of Numeron Network, one of the most powerful field spells ever created. This card is absolutely insane. It has the ability that during your main phase, you can send a Numeron normal spell card that meets its activation conditions from your deck to the graveyard and then copy that effect, which is absolutely insane. I love that effect about this card, and it's just super powerful. This card is so good in the deck, and it also has the ability that Numeron XZ monsters that you control can activate their effects without detaching materials, which makes all of the Numeron gates in the deck absolutely crazy. I then play 3 copies of Numeron Calling. Numeron Calling is a really good 3 on the deck, and the card you're going to be sending to graveyard off your copy of Numeron Network all the time. It has the ability of Numeron Network is in your field spell zone, and you control no monsters. You can special summon up to 4 Numeron Gate XZ monsters with different names from your extract, but banish them during the end phase. Also, you can only normal or special summon once for the rest of the turn, which is normally going to be Slifer the Sky Dragon that you're going to tribute 3 of the 4 gates to normal summon out to the field, which is a really awesome thing to be able to do. I then play 3 copies of Memories of Hope. This card is basically a draw 4 because it has the ability that you draw cards equal to the number of number XZ monsters with different names that you control, which with Numeron Network and Numeron Calling, you're going to control 4 monsters, which means you can draw 4 cards off of Memories of Hope, which will get your Slifer the Sky Dragon to be absolutely massive. I then play 3 copies of Soul Crossing. Soul Crossing is really awesome. It has the ability that to the normal summon or during the main phase, immediately after this card resolves, you get to tribute summon 1 Divine Beast monster. And when you do, you can tribute monsters that your opponent controls even though you do not control them. But if you tribute summon this way, you apply the effect that until the end of the next turn, after this card resolves, you can only activate 1 card per turn, not counting the effects of Divine Beast monsters. That is a really powerful effect that you can basically tribute 3 of your opponent's monsters to be able to summon out Slifer the Sky Dragon, essentially turning Slifer into a massive kaiju that we get to keep. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Trap Trick. Trap Trick is a really important 3 of in the deck, so with it, basically we can turn our copy of the Revived Sky God from a 3 of into a 6 of in the deck to make sure that we can get to it super fast. I'm then playing 3 copies of Reckless Greed. Reckless Greed is a really good 3 of the deck that has the ability that you get to draw 2 cards, but skip the next 2 draw phases, which is totally fine because we're just trying to dig in the deck to make Slifer absolutely massive. I'm then playing 3 copies of Peaceful Burial. Peaceful Burial is a really good 3 on the deck. It has the ability to send a monster from your deck to the graveyard, but for the rest of the turn, you cannot activate cards or effects of cards with the same name as the sent monster had in the graveyard, which you're always going to be sending your copy of Slifer the Sky Dragon to the graveyard off this effect, so that we can use it with our Revived Sky God or bring it back with Monster Reborn, which is a really awesome effect. I then played 3 copies of the Revived Sky God. This card is really insane, and one of the craziest cards we got out of the Megatins, with the crazy powerful effect that the activation of cards or its effects cannot be negated. This card cannot be negated, nor can its effect be negated. And it special summons a Slifer the Sky Dragon from your graveyard, and each player draws until they have 6 cards in their hand, which is really awesome because it makes your Slifer the Sky Dragon come out with 6,000 attack points upon special summoning. That is such a powerful effect that this card basically cannot be negated, and it brings Slifer back from the graveyard, and you get to draw 6 cards. That is crazy powerful. It also has the ability you can banish this card from your graveyard to place 1 Monster Reborn from your deck or graveyard on top of your deck. Then, if a Divine Beast monster is in your graveyard, you get to draw a card, which will be the copy of Monster Reborn that you draw off this card's effect, which is just super cool. I then play 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. Solemn Judgment is just a really cool card to be able to draw into with this deck, because this card has the ability when a monster would be summoned or a spell or trap card is activated, you pay half your life points to negate the summon or activation if you do destroy it, basically giving you a way to protect your Slifer the Sky Dragon with this card, which is really nice. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of number C1 Numeron Chaos Gate Sonya. This card is a really good one-up, but you only really need a single copy of this card. It has the ability you can also XZ summon this card by using a number 1, the Numeron Gate, which is going to be this card that you're going to be XZ summoning this card on top of, which is really cool, that you control as material. And you transfer all the materials from that card onto this card, which usually it won't have any materials. But it also has a absolutely insane effect that if this card is XZ summoned, you banish all monsters on the field. And then once per turn, during your next standby phase, after this card was banished, you can special summon this banished card. Then if Numeron Network is in your field spell zone, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the combined attack of all banished XZ monsters, which is a really good effect just to do a little bit of burn damage. I then play 2 copies of Gate number 1, 2 copies of Gate number 2, 2 copies of Gate number 3, and 2 copies of Gate number 4. Now the reason I just laid those cards out like that is because they all have the exact same effect. They're pretty much the same monster, just with different names and different artwork, which is kind of cool about this deck, but really interesting. It has the ability, they all share the same effect, that they cannot be destroyed by a battle, and at the start of the damage step, if this card battled an opponent's monster, you can detach a material from this card, double the attack of all Numeron monsters that you currently control until the end of this turn, which is a pretty good effect to be able to attack with 1 for 1,000, the second will go in for 2, then 4, then 8,000 for the last attack, which is really awesome about this deck, and you don't have to detach materials if you have your copy of Numeron Network on the field, which you always will have Numeron Network on the field when you summon out these cards, basically letting them double the attack points of each other, which is really cool. We then play a single copy of Gustav Max. You're going to make this with 2 copies of Slifer the Sky Dragon. It's just really cool because once per turn you can detach a material from this card and then inflict 2,000 points of damage to your opponent, which is a pretty good effect just to finish off the opponent if you need to. I then play a single copy of Infinitrack Megaclops. This card is absolutely crazy. It's unaffected by other monster effects except those of XZ monsters, and it cannot be destroyed by battle except with XZ monsters, which is a pretty cool effect to be able to use, and it just requires 3 XZ monsters to make this card. So if you you don't OTK your opponent by summoning out all 4 of the gates, you can link 3 of them away to make this card, which is really, really good. Usually I make this card if I can't OTK. I then play a sealed copy of Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax. This is also another card that you can make with all 4 of the gates, which is pretty cool. And this card gets absolutely crazy on the field, and is just a really good monster to make with all 4 of the different Numeron gates. I then play a single copy of Skulldread. Skulldread is just in here just in case I don't draw into the combo pieces that I need to summon out Slifer the Sky Dragon. And this card is just really good if you link all 4 of your Numeron gates away to summon out this card, because when this card is link summoned, you get to draw 4 cards and then place 3 from your hand on the bottom of your deck in any order, which is a pretty good effect just to dig into the deck for the exact cards that you need. I then play a single copy of Appaloosa. Appaloosa is really, really good just to give you some monster negates. If you already have ways to get your copy of Slifer out on the field, I usually make this main phase 2 if I don't OTK, if I know I can make a Slifer on the following turn. I then play a single copy of the Underworld Goddess. This card is just really easy to summon. You link away all 4 of your gates on the field, and you link an opponent's monster away to make this card, which will out a boss monster that the copies of the gate monsters couldn't get over, which is really cool. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Slifer Numeron, you definitely should give the deck a try. I really love how consistent it is with being able to make Slifer the Sky Dragon on the field. And if you want to, you can just OTK your opponent with Numeron, which is really nice. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell and there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.